Money can be the lifeblood of your business,
Well, yes,
but it's not the purpose.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do it for? And I asked you this question earlier, didn't I, Adam? And you know, yes, you want to be as wealthy as you possibly can, but once you've made enough money to pay all your outgoings, then the rest is superfluous.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. And we have a very, very special guest today, a recurring guest, second appearance on the podcast, Antony Penny. Welcome.
Afternoon, Adam. How are you?
I'm good. Let's pretend we haven't been...
Nice to be back.
Yeah, let's pretend we haven't been speaking for about 2-3 hours before.
Yeah, strange sense of deja vu.
I know. So we said we would start, didn't we? Of just like, what have you been up to? Let's tell everybody. Back for round 2. What have you been up to? Last spoke. It's been a couple of years probably, isn't it?
Yeah, last time we sat down and had a natter, I was still doing a consultancy for Fowlham Hall. And yeah, crikey, that's over 12 months since that contract completed. Been very fortunate to pick up some of the bits of work with Armstrong Watson, Chartered Accountants in Carlisle, particularly helping them with their new head office set up at Rose Hill. Also some feasibility work for Tully House. Don't know if you know that Tully are busy, massive redevelopment of the museum in Carlisle. Did a couple of feasibilities for them with respect to their visitor food and beverage offering, but equally they purchased some new buildings adjacent to Tully House by the castle, and they were looking at alternative revenue streams for those properties as opposed to making them additional museum space. I put together a feasibility for a wine bar bistro for them, which they were very, very interested in, but I think probably didn't have the conviction or the bottle to see that through as a 10-year project. So it would have paid for itself. But again, difficult one in Carlisle, difficult marketplace. I think Carlisle's probably quite a strange marketplace. However, I think there's probably a dearth of that quality of operation. And I think that something of that ilk would go down really well because there's actually quite a bit of money in the Carlisle and the surrounding area. Yeah. Places like Scotby and Wetherell and so on and so forth. I think people would come into town, but it needs investment. And, you know, the whole town seems to be dying. Yeah. You know, Debenhams has gone, House of Fraser's about to go. That whole town centre's kind of on its knees. Yeah. It's a bit sad, really.
Yeah, one of my clients, Dean, was up last week on Monday. So we had a meeting on Monday. And we were going around like the town centre, like say, the shops, like the high street stores that are closed down and that kind of thing. You just think, bloody hell, what is going on? Because apparently they're spending a lot of money in the town centre. Are they doing some kind of, I don't know what it is, I'm going to say it wrong here, but some features, something in the centre of town?
I think it's just getting a facelift. But there's a huge project going on with Carlisle University, isn't there?
Yeah.
So what used to be the courts, by the station, that's all getting redeveloped. But aside from that, still ploughing on with business coaching, which is very much the thrust of what I'm trying to promote at the moment, which it's a double-edged sword, Adam, because I make more money from consultancy projects than I do through coaching.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I can imagine.
But I get more gratification from coaching than I do from consult. Yeah. So yeah, it's a difficult one. But in terms of my professional development, in the time since we sat down last, I've got myself membership into the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches as a registered corporate coach, which is a massive feather in my cap. Was quite a time-consuming exercise. Pleased to have got that under my belt. And then more recently, I've got myself licensed as a leading energy profile practitioner. Leading energy profiles, a profiling tool which identifies your cognitive biases. And in terms of self-awareness, it's a fabulous tool in order for people to alter the way they think and therefore communicate and be more effective. So that's been, again, as a business coach, it's a fabulous tool to have in my toolkit. I'm looking forward to getting cracking with that.
Yeah, you said you're going to give it to me right now, aren't you?
Well, for those who don't know, we just had most of the morning talking about Adam's cognitive bias and
basically I'm a
how
terrible
that manifests itself and whether that's a good thing or whether it's
definitely.
something he needs to work on.
By the sound thing, it's a terrible thing. I'm going to be bankrupt next week.
It's not. No, there's no good, bad, or indifferent in terms of your biases, Adam. But it's about that self-recognition. If you understand the way you think, you can alter the way you feel, and therefore what you do, and not just with yourself, but with customers and colleagues alike. I find it absolutely fascinating. The whole sort of background to coaching and this kind of sort of profiling is absolutely fascinating to me, and that's what kind of floats my boat. I could sit down and talk to people for hours, unpicking their mind.
Unpicked mine enough today, I think.
I'm not sure, but did we make any progress?
No.
That's the thing.
Basically, it ended in, I'm still going to do what I think I'm going to do, and that was about it. I'm not going to listen to anything, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know if it was. I think the reality is that's the way you feel and the way you think at the moment. Mm-hmm. And, if you accept that, then that's fine. And nobody's to say that that's good or bad. So,
yeah. So let's talk about the business coach certification and recognition and that kind of thing. Why was that important for you to do then, would you say?
I think there's a couple of things, isn't there? When I moved on from being a hotel general manager and then general manager of the Lakes Distillery down at Cockermouth, it was about self-development. And, I think part of my cognitive process is that I don't kind of wallow in self-pity. It's about what's the opportunity, what's next? How can I improve? And equally, as you go through life, your priorities change. And, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about a book by Daniel H. Pink called Drive.
Listen to the audiobook.
Yeah. The surprising truth about what motivates you. And, the reality is that we all need money to live on, but money's not the motivator.
No.
And never has been and never will be. And if the audience don't agree with that, then by all means, get in touch and we can have a conversation. But, there needs to be a purpose behind what you do. And it's all about gratification and what makes you feel good.
Yeah, because you're saying, I said, obviously want to make money, but it's like purpose driven, and then money is the byproduct, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Money can be the lifeblood of your business,
but
it's not the purpose.
Yeah.
What do you do it for? And I asked you this question earlier, didn't I, Adam? And yes. You want to be as wealthy as you possibly can, but once you've made enough money to pay all your outgoings, then the rest is superfluous.
Yeah.
So it's about what motivates you over and above that, and when you see what your business has done for your clients, that's what makes you feel good.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think my purpose, in a selfish purpose kind of way, is to be able to provide for my family, like I was saying to you earlier, to be able to give my future kids and wife, hopefully, the upbringing that I had or better kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's like my selfish purpose. But then say like the business purpose, obviously, to provide the best service and results to my clients as possible.
Yeah.
Within obviously reason and that kind of thing. So I think there's kind of two kind of purposes there, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we were talking, weren't we? I'd spent 30 odd years in hospitality, 22 of which kind of, general manager and latterly regional general manager. And, the rewards that came with that were significant. And don't get me wrong, the pressures that come with that were significant as well. But as life moves on, your priorities change, and, kids through university, mortgage is gone. It's about me time now, and it's about what brings me absolute satisfaction in what I do on a day-to-day basis. And that's where I'm at now. I can honestly say, Adam, that I've probably never worked as hard as I do now, because I don't have a team of people around me to help me do that. Which is fine.
Sometimes
you can't delegate. I can't delegate to the dog. He doesn't take any notice. But I've never been as happy. Never been as happy in terms of what I do. And when I sit with a client and help them understand where they're at, what the priorities are, and how they're going to change that, and can alter their thinking and leave them in a much better place in terms of positivity and mentality, then that's job done for me. And when you're dealing with like-minded people. So again, I had a conference call with the lady from the company that did my training to become a registered corporate coach, and subsequently lead an energy profile. I came off that absolutely motivated again yesterday, because when you exist in that sphere of people in the same mindset, it's kind of self-perpetuating. There's nothing worse than when you spend a week on your own and, your wife comes home every night and says, well, who have you spoken to today? And all you've been trying to do is generate sales. And you say, well, actually, I haven't done anything that's made me feel particularly good today.
Yeah.
But then when you get feedback from clients who say, there was one particular customer who sent me a very, very short and sweet note. It ended with, Antony, thank you for making me a better person.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's a personal thing, isn't it? Yeah.
That was the best Christmas present
ever. Yeah. That'd be nice to hear, isn't it? I think that's the thing with me is like, I just deal with businesses, even though it makes an impact on them personally as a business owner. It's just business, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I'm not complaining at all, but say like, we won't get the praise when it goes well, but if something goes wrong, it'll always be what's happening here kind of thing. Whereas like, if you're dealing with somebody personally, like say when I used to do events when I first started, had my own business, whatever, oh my God, that was the best night of my life. Along them lines. You're like, oh, made him feel that way kind of thing. Whereas when it's business, it's just business, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just
it is, but equally, I think, in life generally, people are not prone to automatically give positive feedback. So I suppose my question to you there is, do you actually court feedback from your customers? I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think I said to you earlier, over Christmas, did that like a year end, like how have things gone, what do you like, what don't you like, any extra services, any feedback and that kind of thing. I think we go through like a monthly report every month and that kind of thing. Maybe it's just me personally, like, I don't even think about it that much to be fair, unless you spoke about it. It's like, I don't know, just that recognition of like, oh yeah, you're doing a really good job. But I think obviously when we speak on the weekly meetings or the monthly reports, it's like, things are going really, really well. So that's obviously the way of doing that. Whereas I think I'm thinking of more like me personally, like them saying, Alan, great work. I'm really doing it in that sense. If that makes sense. I think I'm relating it to your personal coaching clients, maybe of that impact that's had on them. I think that's what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
I think you can apply it to both scenarios, to be honest with you, Adam. And I think the real measure, the litmus test, if you're going back to being in school,
biology,
litmus, chemistry. Yeah, it's to do with acid and alkaline. Hey, you're still there after all these years. Is how you react to feedback and what you do with it. Yeah. And I read a lot of books. There's a book by one particular coaching guru, a guy called Marshall Goldsmith. And he spanned the word feedback. He says, I always use feed forward. I say, so what we won't do is review what's gone wrong, but it's going to look at how we make things better moving forward. And I thought that was really just a really, really positive thing to do. But at the measure, again, I think I was going to ask, how do you react when you get negative feedback, Adam?
Personally or business-wise?
Both.
Business-wise, good, because like you say, it's a good way to put that actually. It's like, I'll analyze, like say, what videos or ads work the best, which ones haven't, which ones we can improve, and that kind of thing. So it's like, we'll disregard the ones that are being rubbish. We'll improve the ones we think can improve. Do more of the ones that work really well, which is good. So like you say, feed forward to that sense. Whereas personally, like I was saying to you before, I'm not open to feedback or feed forward at the moment. Like I was saying to you about that girl. I'm going to drop myself in it here. But I said like to her, I'm not ready to be personally like vulnerable or open to feedback because I'm so focused on my business and making that progress forward. I'm willing for that to take a backseat. She said about the not drinking thing, and also I'm so focused on work, which is like what she knows already, but obviously like that, I don't want to be criticizing that because I know for me, that's what's going to make me happy. Because the reason for me to stop drinking was to not have it as an excuse to not be able to achieve my goals personally and business wise. And then me focusing on my business is to make my future family, wife and kids happy in the future. So like me making those sacrifices or disregarding them in the short term is what's going to hopefully, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but hopefully make my future self happier. If that makes sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the point is it's all about self-awareness, Adam. And I know that one of my traits is that I don't take criticism very well. I can accept it, but I dwell on it. I dwell on it and I can let it eat me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so I have to work on that. I really have to work on that, and I don't take it. I consult. But the fact that I know that,
it's good, isn't it? Yeah.
I know that I've got that trait. That kind of helps me deal with it. And do you know something? You know, we've been working on LinkedIn together, and there's one of my old employers. There'd been a post on LinkedIn by this guy, and he'd come out with a quote by Mike Tyson.
Okay.
That said, "Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth."
I've seen that actually. Yeah.
And my old chief exec had gone, great quote, and so true. To which I responded, yeah, but Nigel, it's all about how you respond to being punched in the mouth that counts.
Yeah.
It's about your response, isn't it? It's all about how you deal with things. And we were talking, we were going back to what I was saying there about always looking for the positives in the situation. And it's all about mindset.
Yeah.
It's all about mindset.
I think me personally, because I didn't react well to that when she said that to me, because I think I like her more than I thought I did at the same time. But if she said that a month ago, I would have just disregarded it because I don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on my own path.
Now you do care.
Yeah, but then I think I was like, I only got defensive and was like, but what you're about? Because I didn't want to open myself up to that criticism, because I know that's like maybe my downfalls of, I don't have fun in a normal way of like going out and getting drunk, but I have fun in other ways. Or like, I don't have as much time to spend in my personal life because I'm so focused on work and that kind of thing, and I can't switch off. But like, I know that's some negative. The drinking thing, I don't think, I'm not saying I'll never drink again, but I'm not bothered. It doesn't bring any benefit to my life. Personally, you still on the sober hype?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So like, that's fine. I know people don't get it. They find it weird, whatever, but that's a you problem, not me problem.
But let's talk about that, Adam, because, I've had 30 odd years in hospitality. It's all about food and beverage, or a big emphasis on food and beverage. I would enjoy a glass of wine, never class myself as a heavy drinker. So then I went through my health scare, which had a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, came completely out of the blue. It was instigated by hypertension, high blood pressure, and something called atrial fibrillation. So my heart rate was all over the place. Relatively fit, out on my bike a lot, out with the dog a lot. So you just don't know. And, I that was a warning. And, thankfully, touching wood, I've got everything completely under control. But I took that decision over 2 years ago now to cut out alcohol and caffeine. Do I feel any better for it? Can't say that I feel any different. But what it has done is alter my perception, Adam, about drinking when I still mix with people who do drink. And, drink, I don't say to excess, but I can recognize very quickly as when people are getting under the influence.
Yeah.
And the behavior alters dramatically. And I can get now, I don't preach about it because I don't think anybody's in a position to, but it is the most socially acceptable drug that the government makes a huge amount of revenue from. That is, people will just regularly poison their bodies with. And I can get to situations in an evening where actually I'm just ready to call it a night and go off to bed and leave people to it because they're talking nonsense. So, and I just don't want to be part of that. Why is it that society believes that social occasions have to be driven by alcohol? So whenever I go to awards ceremonies or the like, you've actually looked upon them as a bit of a pariah, that you don't want a glass of champagne or you don't want the alcoholic arrival drink. You say, actually, I'd just like, have you got anything non-alcoholic? Well, we've got some elderflower press. Well, really and truly, do I look like a man who'd like a glass of elderflower press? No.
Any little dress and stuff, you never know.
It's not good. Yeah. But it's that whole perception of alcohol as that trigger to enjoyment. And it doesn't need to be that.
No. And I think initially it was like awkward for me anyway, because it's like you say no to an alcoholic drink, everyone drinks, and then like say events and like, someone doesn't drink and stuff like that. But now for me, it's like 3.5 years something?
Yeah.
And it's normal. But I feel like, and maybe controversial, but I do believe it is a lot. And I was the same. You get to the weekend, Friday, Saturday, binge drink to whatever time in the morning, use it as a bit of escapism because it's like, I've had a tough week or shit week, whatever. I'm just going to go out and forget about everything. And then you wake up the next day, you feel like shit. And then you get up and you do it all again. Yeah. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're recovering and then you do it all over again because You can't be asked to feel the way you feel.
Because it's routine.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Whereas like I've been on holiday with friends and haven't drank. It's like, bloody hell, I've been on holiday, I haven't drank. Like I still have fun. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
You just, and people say, oh, what do you do on like I'll still go on nights out with my friends occasionally. And then I'll maybe try and go home at 1 o'clock-ish because everyone gets drunk. But yeah, sometimes we'll stay out till whatever time. Like, oh, how do you stay out this long, like without drinking? Just like, just do what you're doing and just don't drink. You know?
Yeah.
You just chat shit. I find it quite entertaining personally to just say like outlandish or outrageous things because they're drunk anyway and they don't have a clue. So you're just on their level anyway and just find it like a little game.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's weird.
But what I do find, if you talk, we were talking earlier about industry trends, weren't we? There is very much a trend towards non-alcoholic drinks, very much. And, I've seen it and, some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's pretty shocking. But there are some very good alcohol-free beers and there is no good alcohol-free wine, in my opinion. But some of these alcohol-free spirits are also very good. Have you come across a brand called Seedlip?
I'm not sure.
Seedlip Gin.
Okay,
Yeah, it's seriously really, really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. But yeah, it shouldn't have to be the catalyst to fun.
No, that's what I mean. Like, I think you correlate a good time with alcohol. Say like you're going on a night out, you'd have a good time because you're with your friends, you enhance it with alcohol. Yeah. If you're going to have a shit time, like you're going to go, I don't know, mow the grass or something. You can't be asked to mow the grass. You're not going to drink alcohol because you're going to have a bad time anyway or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a terrible example, but you just like, it's just them little things like good time, you have alcohol, bad times, you don't have alcohol. Like you go to work, you don't have alcohol, do you? Or whatever. You don't have a bad time. And then, so like, if you're going to have a good time, you don't need alcohol, you still have a good time anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I do. Again, we were talking earlier, Adam, weren't we, about generational things. We were talking about communication and we can come on to that if you want. But my boys don't drink like we used to like kids. Yeah. But not by any stretch of imagination. They will have a beer, but they don't, it's not kind of endemic in their routine.
Yeah.
Not at all.
For me, when I turned 18, I went to uni, I would binge drink, you know what I mean? I didn't enjoy the drinking, I enjoyed being drunk. Yeah. And that kind of feeling, which is like fine. But yeah, when it was like impacting what I was trying to do with business, I was like, that's not good. Because I don't have a problem with people drinking either. I think drink if you want to have fun and that kind of thing, but when it's impacting your life, I think that's a bad thing. And a lot of people say to me, oh, I wish I could stop drinking, And it's like, why do you want to stop drinking? Just to say you stop drinking, or is there a purpose? I wouldn't recommend anyone to stop drinking unless it's a purpose personally.
Like anything in life, Adam, absolutely. We talked earlier, it's about mindset. And if you want to stop drinking, I stopped instantly. Instantly. My mum, my late mum, when I was ever so young, was a 40-a-day smoker. Yeah. And she stopped instantly. And if you want to do it, you'll do it. 100%. And it's a bit like, I've had a conversation with one of the founders from Business Coaching Academy when I was thinking about going self-employed, and you can apply the same thing. It is about mindset. And he said, Anthony, if you want your business to work, you'll make it work. If your heart's really not in it, then it'll fail. And it's absolutely true.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
When people say, oh, I wish I could stop, well, you can. Yeah. You just don't want to.
And I was speaking to one of my clients yesterday and he's trying to do some more internal development with the team to progress them up. And he's getting feedback. I don't know if we'd call it feedback or feed forward now, of them saying they want to go to the next role and do the training and that kind of thing. But then when it comes down to it, they don't actually want to do it because they just talk game. I feel like a lot of people like the idea of things, but the actual reality is very different. Yeah. And I think that's in business. Yeah. And even I say that to girls. I know I'm doing lots of girl stuff today, but I say that girls, when I meet them, I say a lot of girls will like the idea of me from the outside, but like the reality is very, very different. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have to make sacrifices, have to focus on myself, business and work long hours and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just one of them things. If you've got a mission or a purpose or a driving force, like we were saying earlier, then it's easier to do it, isn't it? But if you're doing it to just look cool or be a bit different, then
if you can't quantify your purpose generally in life or business, then you're going to fail. Yeah. And the reality is there are too many businesses, and I see it all the time, Adam, who pay lip service to things like company culture and things like diversity and inclusion. They're high performing teams high performance teams is a buzzword at the minute, Or how do we, we're going to invest in a consultant to come in and do some training and we'll develop hype. If it's not in your DNA and you don't believe it and it's not driven from the very top, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
It does come from the top though, I think. I've only got a small team, but when I look at some of my clients' teams and stuff like that, and if they've got like a manager who's, I think we were speaking about earlier, but you can be a good employee or staff member. It's different being a manager, isn't it? Because you have to manage, motivate, inspire people as well. So if you don't, some people just don't have that, which is fine, isn't it? Like say self-awareness and that kind of thing.
I think there's a distinct difference, Adam, between being a manager and being a leader.
What would you say the difference is then?
I think your manager is the person who gets people to do the day-to-day, and your leader is the person who drives inspiration within the company. And I think they're two completely different things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Again, I could give you two very distinct examples of managing directors that I've worked with, and one of which who, really and truly the way he behaved as an MD back in the day, which was probably appropriate in the 80s and 90s, you wouldn't get away with right now. But he was a leader. Yeah. He was inspirational. He had a vision. I always used to say that if he was an evangelist preacher, you'd be writing him a check. Like Billy Graham, you're too young to remember those kind of names.
I was just nodding, saying
no, he had to be, Billy Graham. And then he was succeeded by his number two, who was a fabulous and is still a fabulous person and is just a friend. But he wasn't a leader.
Yeah,
he was a manager. He used to manage people and micromanage people, which is wrong.
Oh, that's my worst nightmare. I've said that about you as well. That obviously you're my first problem, and you never, well, personally anyway, people personally never micromanaged me. You kind of just like let me get on with it and trusted in whatever ability I had, and then if I did something wrong, or maybe next time try it like this, or I'll do it like that kind of thing.
How do people learn if you don't do that?
They don't know, do they? They're just set in their own ways, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you've got to look at the money that you invest in people's salaries. And if you really and truly can't trust them, you shouldn't be paying them.
Yeah. But I think that's one thing that I'd always want to do is never like micromanage people. And if they're choosing to work with me or I'm choosing to work with them, like trust in why they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that obviously it's not always the case, but people are better in their area of expertise than I am.
Yeah.
Like say Yanni, he's even my camera skill, he's way better at that thing than me.
Yeah.
I trust, I'll have input. But if he says, "Oh, we need to do like this," I'm like, "You know better than me." Zishan says, "All right, well, we need to do the videos like this, and this," and I say, "Well, can we do it like that?" Yeah. He said, "Oh, well, it wouldn't really work." I'm like, "All right, that's fair. I'll put my point across," kind of thing.
I come across it so many times, Adam, with my coaching clients, and you ask these people, "Well, what's making you do that? What is making you feel that you have to be involved at that level?" And I've said to people, part of your fundamental issue is that you can't walk away, and that's what you need to address.
Yeah, because I think I struggled with that last year. Of say wanting to be in control of a lot of things. To say giving away because the way we would used to do it is we'd shoot the content.
Yeah.
I would pre-edit it, give it to Zishan, and then he'd finish the edit off. And I always thought oh yeah, I know how I like to do it. But then that was the bottleneck in the business then. So then by the time it took a lot of time and resources and energy to do it, probably about 3 months or so to transition it over.
Yeah.
But now we wouldn't be able to work to the level that we are without having to do that. So for me, it was giving that away of going from just me and Yanni, whatever, to scaling it up. That was oh fuck, yeah, well, yeah, he's actually better than me, that kind of thing.
Do you not think there's also an element, Adam, people reverting to their comfort zone? And again, I could give you some prime examples of people who get involved in stuff because they're comfortable doing it and they feel that they're still adding value, when actually what they're not doing is being proactive and looking forward. So, I've got a client who, I went to visit him and he was up to his eyes in refurbishment in a new property, and he was doing it. And I'm thinking, you've got so much on your plate here. Why are you knee deep in plasterboard in a bathroom? And it's because you enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And he's used to doing it as well.
That's not because where that's not because that's where you'll have most value. You know, so really and truly, what you ought to be doing is looking at X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, more business development kind of thing.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, yeah, you're right. Well,
yeah, that's the thing for me. If I be very honest with myself, I don't enjoy the actual, how to describe it, the internal, like, making of video or the actual product and the service that we provide.
yeah.
I enjoy the strategy and the results and the analytics of that kind of thing and the business side, like the client relationships, and how can we make what we've got better, you know what I mean? And then me communicating that with the team and saying, right, this is what we've got, this is what we need to do, and that kind of thing. Whereas hopefully, like at the moment, I'm reviewing and checking stuff, which is going to be the bottleneck in the future. So I'm like, right, how can I get somebody in to do all this stuff to save me time so I can focus more on the business and everything? Because that's the thing that's going to grow the business forward. And my clients as well, one I was speaking to yesterday, he's staffing problems, which is obviously an issue in loads of businesses, and he's doing more internal stuff, whereas he wants to be working on the business development, which is what I want to be doing. But it's just getting the resources available to be able to invest in that consistently, because I wouldn't want to dip my toes in and then go back out and that kind of thing. But it's just, like I say, as a business owner, you have to put in the extra hours, don't you?
It's about focusing where you add the most value. It's not rocket science. And I was going to ask you a question here. So you obviously get turned on by the marketing of what you do.
Yeah.
But you've already said to me that you don't enjoy selling. You don't enjoy the sales. So draw a distinction to me, Adam, about the difference between sales and marketing.
So I have this conversation with a lot of people. Is I say, I don't like the sales. Obviously, I've got clients, so I'm obviously supposed to be good at selling something. I think I'm good at marketing us as a whole and myself to be like, this is what we can offer. This is what we can do. Do you want to be a part of this thing? So I feel like before I speak to a lot of people, especially more so now recently, is I feel like people want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
They want to be associated with this thing that I've created out of nothing.
Yeah.
And be a part of that thing. Whereas like for me, sales, I've got negative connotations in the sense of like, I'm trying to sell you something that you don't want and you don't need. And I'm trying to manipulate you into signing up to my marketing package that will generate you more money most times. But it's like, I just think like in that sense of sales is that thing of like manipulative and devious or whatever. Whereas I feel like me marketing my services, and then if I say, all right, well, I think I could add value to you, I'll message you, I'll speak to you and say, this is what we've got to offer. Yeah. This is what we can do for you. If you want it, great, because I think we'll have a great partnership. If not, that's fine. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely makes sense. I'll tell you what's interesting. Adam, we were talking, weren't we? I was saying I've become a practitioner for leading energy profile, and I've been through different profiling programs in my career. Insights is probably the biggest and well known. Some of your listeners might be aware of Insights, and it works on colours, but it kind of gives you a badge. You know, where you're red, you're angry.
I don't do red. I need to be blue.
You're yellow, you're mellow, blue, chilled, and all this kind of stuff. So, but all these profiling tools. So I've worked with Insights. I've worked with StrengthScope. I've worked with something called Talent Q, and they've all kind of broadly told me the same things about my persona. So it works. It absolutely. It nails me. And it's that kind of self-awareness. Once you understand your thought processes and your personality, you can work on it. And I was interested to go back chronologically and read through these reports to see how I've changed. And I have.
Okay. In what way?
I've become, and I it's in my DNA. I get it from my mother, Yorkshire lass, Yorkshire family. If ever you've met somebody who you thought was direct and to the point, then multiply that by 1,000, and that was my mum, bless her. She just saw it, said it how it was. Yeah. And I wasn't, they reckon the apple doesn't fall. I think in the early days of being a general manager, I was very much like that, very sort of autocratic, dictatorial. It's my way, crack on with it, because I just wanted to get stuff done. And I think I've become more accepting and more understanding. And, I look back now at situations that have happened throughout my career, and the net result may have been no different, Adam, but how I reached it would have been a lot softer.
Yeah, it's taking into consideration people's feelings and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and understanding and accepting their thought processes.
That was one of my negatives, wasn't it? I was showing you before. About that questionnaire thing.
Yeah. Just, accepting that people have a different perspective and that they might go about things in a different way, but actually they fundamentally want exactly what you want. They just look at it in a different way, and that doesn't mean that it's any better or worse. And it's just that kind of realization, I think.
Yeah. Would you take feedback or constructive criticism from somebody who isn't where you want to be, from somebody who's just like got no expertise or knowledge in the thing you want to do, or what? How would you do that?
It depends what the feedback is relating to, Adam. I think you've got to accept all feedback's good feedback. It's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
And how you respond to that and use it positively. I think, you've got to accept that everybody's got a perspective. And generally they don't. It's a bit like a complaint handling. And whenever I was teaching people about how to deal with complaints, the starting point was never get defensive. Never argue that you're right and they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're taking the time to let you know how they feel. Yeah. You might not agree with it, but that's the reality of it. And I was chatting to a client about review handling on social media. Oh, we don't get involved in that. I'm going, right, okay, explain to me why. Well, everybody's a keyboard warrior and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, you operate a very, very successful business. You're at the top of your game, and you'll generally get very few negative reviews.
Yeah.
So why would you not respond? But it's more important that you respond to negative reviews because people are punting, in this day and age, they're punting their opinion out to the world on the internet. And what people are forming an opinion, and not forming an opinion about you when you don't respond.
Yeah.
So
I think that says more than if you do. It says more if you don't respond than if you do respond.
Without doubt. 100%, which brings us on to ghosting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah.
Well, we were nattering earlier, weren't we, about the etiquette of communication and how it's a particular bugbear of mine.
Yeah.
And we got talking, didn't we, about all the communication platforms that are available nowadays via the internet, social media. We don't need to list them all off, but there are any amount. Just I've seen over probably the last 5 years that the etiquette surrounding responses, communication, has disappeared completely.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do wonder, and I think back to even when I was at school, quite young as well, when phones were just coming about, that these days, because your phone is so accessible, you can cancel plans like that, can't you? Whereas I feel like back in the day, if you'd organise something, so say if I was a kid, I'd be like, right, on Sunday, we're going to go play football, I'll come to your house at 3:00 or something, and that's the plan. You're not going to deviate or anything like that. I know this is going off topic from social media, but these days, if you say, oh yeah, right, go for a run tomorrow morning. All right, message like 2 minutes before being like, oh, I'm not going to go anymore. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, it's so accessible in that sense. But like you say, with the ghosting thing, I think it's because it's just so convenient. You're like, oh, right, yeah, message, whatever. And then you're just busy doing whatever, clicking and scrolling to so many platforms and that kind of thing. And I struggle to manage messages. And the best ways for me, people, is like Instagram. So like I'll message on Instagram and get back pretty much straight away because that's like my personal thing. I'm not very good at emails. All my clients are on Slack, which I get back to within hours maximum, if not minutes.
Which I'm interrupting, but when we talked about that earlier, it was it was interesting, Adam, because I'd never heard of Slack. Never heard of it. And we were talking about all the various platforms and we were almost trying to justify why people might not respond. And
why do you think then?
I just think it's become, again, I had another client who said no response is almost a response.
100%, yeah.
But it's the manners surrounding that response. And we talked about it earlier, didn't we? Where I'd almost be happy to deliver bad news than not respond.
Yeah.
So if the answer is not what that person wants to hear, then at least send it.
Yeah. Oh, and even like yesterday, one of my existing clients, he messaged me saying like, oh, just checked so-and-so, have we been doing this? And I checked and I was like, we definitely haven't been doing that. You know what I mean? We've been doing something different. And then instead of giving no response, I'll pretty much reply straight away, being like, all right, yeah, well, if we check the meeting notes, whatever, it looks like we've been doing this. So that's why there's been the miscommunication on like both parts. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like it's his fault, my fault, whatever. But then like you have the meeting and then you come to the conclusion, understand why whatever's happened. And that kind of thing that's more important, because when things are going well, and nobody really cares at the end of the day. When things aren't going well, it's how you deal with that, because then that really, I think that shows your true colours. Communication, because communication is the most important thing. Like, I know we're talking about ghosting, but this is just an example I had yesterday. And it's like, me communicating that shows him that I actually care and that I want to come to the conclusion, and he can understand why we've been doing something different to what he thought he was doing, if that makes sense. Rather than me like not replying for hours and then not speaking to him for a week and being like, oh my God, we've fucked up here kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know why people...
So let me give you a scenario. So you've been communicating with somebody on whatever platform. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn.
Do an email one that I was doing, instant proposals and stuff. Sorry,
and so you get a request from somebody regarding some information, and you respond, and you know that they've seen that communication, and you get no response. And a week passes, and so you give them a little nudge and say, was that information they used to you? And you still, days later, you still get no response. Now, you tell me, and maybe it's a generational thing, but that's just rude.
No, I think it is rude, especially if you've spent and invested your own time into it, 100%. I think, I said an example that, say, if I speak to someone on the phone and then do like a Zoom call and a plan and stuff, and then send it over, and then they know the price, whatever, and if they don't respond to that, I think that is rude, because I've invested my time for free. And not that like, because for free, but because I wanted to, because I thought, oh, maybe we could do something that I could add some value. Then you not even just say, sorry, it's not what we want to do at the moment, or sorry, it's out of our budget, or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. How do you get by in life? Like, I would personally say, if I'd spoke to someone and then I was like, all right, well, not really what I want to do, I'd just say, sorry, something that I don't want to do right now, best of luck. Something. Which is fine. Then this is a definitive end and a conclusion to something, rather than there's closure, isn't there? Rather than just, like I say, no answer is closure anyway, but it's just common courtesy.
It's bad. I mean, when I was doing a consultancy for Farlam, we were looking for a company to redesign the website for us. And we got it down to a couple of companies. And the company that were the preference for myself and Max was a company based in Glasgow called Shine Digital. And the managing director is a guy called Craig Mackey, really, really lovely guy. And you know, when you build over the course of a couple of meetings, we built a rapport with this guy, and the owners decided to go with a different company. But that's fine. That's their prerogative. Anyway, I've remained in touch with, I wouldn't say friends, but in touch with Craig. And he gave an example where his company had been approached for a project piece of work for a client, and he put together a very, very detailed sales proposal, which had taken him the best part of a week to put together. And he'd sent it through to this client, who then just refused to communicate with him in any way, shape or form, whether that's by email, whether it's by social platforms or physically by the telephone. And that, professionally, to me, is absolutely shocking. When somebody's invested a week of their time and effort and expense into putting a proposal together, then just not to get. And that, I think, I'm afraid, Adam, is indicative of the way things are going in terms of what is viewed as acceptable and not.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that people don't understand, like having your own business and that kind of thing, that not like free work you have to do for people. Just to, like, get it over the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, me anyway, in particular. Like, you have to speak to someone on the phone, you have to do a Zoom call, you have to create a bit of a plan. It still takes time, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not getting paid for that. If you don't do it, great. If you don't, they're still going to get paid. But I think that's the thing that when people think, oh, having your own business is easy or whatever. No. That kind of thing where...
I think we said it earlier, didn't I? Yeah. I from going self-employed, overwhelmingly, I've never been happier. Never worked as hard.
Yeah.
Never worked as hard.
People just think you just lounge around at home. Yeah. That's what people think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what I do. But
including the wife.
Yeah. Like, what have you done today? Well, not much.
I get that. What have you been on with today? And you almost that's like, are you questioning what I've been up to? Would you like me to like a productivity report? And I go, honestly, honestly, I've never stopped.
Yeah.
You know, has he generated any money today? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. We'll see.
It's funny, but yeah, back to the ghosting thing. I think, yeah, it is a true reflection of the person, especially I think if it's a cold messaging, like if someone's just like spamming you and stuff, then yeah,
that's one thing.
Yeah, I won't reply to that because that's probably like a virtual assistant or whatever. But if I've ever approached anyone and they've spent time, whatever, that I haven't paid for, especially if I'm paying for it, then it's different maybe. But, and yeah, you just ignore them. Yeah. I think that's just, it's just rude. It's just common courtesy, really. And it's just, like you say, you wouldn't want to work with that person anyway, would you?
No, again, we had that conversation earlier, didn't we, about, you know, whether clients are good clients or bad clients. And at what point do you make that decision to say, well, actually, I don't want to work with you?
It's just difficult.
For whatever, whatever reason.
But yeah, I think, especially when I was starting out, I'd just say yes to everything and just for the money and that kind of thing. And even in recent times, you know what I mean? You just work with people, but only really in the last few months have had more confidence to say no. Yeah. There's one client who ended things completely out of the blue and was completely out of order of the way that they did it. Yeah. And then they came crawling back and I was like, no chance, you know what I mean? It's like you've burnt that bridge, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not getting involved with that. I'd rather focus on people I actually like personally and can see the progress and stuff. And I think that's more powerful and feel like I'd radiate that aura as well. So it's like, I don't need your money. I'm choosing to work with you because I like you. I believe in you. I think we can help you.
And it's about confidence in yourself, Adam, isn't it? It's about belief in what you do. And, you know, I was talking to a pal just the other day and bringing him up to speed with where I'm at with this cognitive profiling, and he was blown away. And he's saying, well, Antony, you make sure that you're charging appropriately for this because, you know, it's your time and your effort and your expense that's gone into getting you to that point. So do not undersell yourself. And they're thinking, you know, do you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I think that's hard as well. Like you want the money, need the money. And it's like, when you start out, you have to charge less to get people involved, do free trials or whatever. Well, I did free trials and charging people when started on my own, you're charging people like £400 a month and you have to split that with Yoni and whoever else. And you think, fuck. But then obviously when you built up that foundation, you can actually start charging appropriately. And like you saying about the revenue share thing, that's something I'll definitely look into this year, probably the end of the year and stuff when I've got the solid foundation. But it's just, it is hard because when you're self-employed, because it's like, I want to work with you. I think I can do stuff with you. Maybe you don't have the budget, but I'll maybe just chop a little bit off.
What you need to do, Adam, trust me, this isn't a coaching thing. It's a life thing. You should take the approach of a tradesman. Whereby you can't get a tradesman for lovely money, and the price is the price. Yeah, literally. And you know, we've had jobs done at home recently where the guys wouldn't even quote. Listen, we'll come and do it for you, and then you'll get the bill. Yeah,
crazy. But it's like what I was saying to you about that one recently when they were asking for change the price and stuff, and I was like, no. You know what I mean? Like, I've got. This is how much it costs. Yeah. Like you got your different packages and stuff. It's not like one price fits all. Yeah. We'll tailor it and you'll have different options. And then if you want to go for it, great. If not, then I've got business running, you know what I mean?
But yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, going back to becoming a little bit more mercenary. And we were talking, weren't we, about my sort of discomfort about sort of touting my skills and abilities to potential customers. You know, I need to be a bit more aggressive on that front. It doesn't come naturally at all. But it, you know, you could say the same thing about confidence in how much you charge.
Yeah, definitely. And say one thing for me, and it's a bit like whatever, but say Maha will message on my Instagram 30 to 50 messages a day, mainly to watch jewelers and stuff around the UK, because that's what we're trying to target at the moment, mainly that product e-commerce kind of businesses, because we can add a lot of value there as well. And then we literally say to them, like, hi, how are you? We've been working with jeweler. This is what we can do. And then, some of my clients are like, oh, so you messaging so-and-so, just fine. You know what I mean? But like that, so for me, I'm like, oh, it's cringy, isn't it? Like me messaging and saying, I work with these, then my clients being like, oh, I the sound. But like, that's one thing of like, I personally couldn't do that because I would cringe every time I copy and paste that message. Yeah. But having Maha to do it for me, that's her task to do. And she does it and she reports to me and how we're getting on, booked in the meetings. which is fine in creating that process, because I know I need to do outbound messages because unfortunately, I suppose for most businesses, if I kept my existing clients, people are going to leave for whatever reason, they can't afford it, they've got someone in-house or they want to stop it. So I need to constantly look for new business. And what's the best way to do that for me? Because not that many people know who I am, because I'm only one person, 8 billion. I need to message people every single day and showcase what we can do, because I know what we do is good and works for people. So yeah, it's just having that system and process.
Then what's your game plan? 5 years?
5 years. Oh, well, I can say what my mate said to me. For 5 years' time, be living in Spain in Marbella, have a marketing agency, have a solid team. I don't know what the team would be exactly, but hopefully me at the top, and then hopefully have like a general manager, then somebody on paid advertising, someone on email marketing, you're on the content, Zishan on social media with editors. And yeah, me being able to maybe like focus on the business development stuff, focus more on the podcast, and actually like I was saying to you earlier, I have a podcast for networking mainly, but actually try and grow the podcast. This year, we're focusing more on YouTube content as well. It's like a lead magnet, because I did like 8 videos at the start of last year.
Yeah.
Then split up, my girlfriend moved out and that didn't happen again. And that kind of thing really, but just be happy and enjoy life. And I think me in my business thriving, having a solid team of people that I like and I enjoy working with would be the goal really. And hopefully have maybe a wife and a kid maybe by that time. The fun fact, when I was growing up, I wanted to have a kid when I was 29 and 32. So when I was 50, they were 21 and 18. I had a massive 50th pie. But I don't want to get anyone pregnant this year because I'm 29 next year. So yeah, just keep on doing what I'm doing, but just grow it.
Yeah.
But living abroad and having like, this year I want to spend more time in Marbella. When I move into my flat this month, going to go over and try and network more. I've made some good contacts over there. I've got one of my best friends over there and try and generate some business. However, the best way to do it is, because money's just different and the lifestyle's just different over there. It's just, I just feel more myself over there.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm up here, even though I love my friends and stuff, it's not very motivating for me. Like when I speak to Henry, who's in Marbella, or Yoni in Cardiff, like talking about business like turns me on. You know what I mean? When I'm here, which I'm happy for my friends of like having houses and kids and dogs and whatever. Happy for you, but that's not what I want right now. You know what I mean? Now I just want to reach my peak, which I think I'm quite far from at the moment. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And also Everton's still in the Premier League. That's what I want to be. So I've still got a season ticket.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen, is it? That's not going to happen.
I want to still have a season ticket at the new stadium. What about you? What's the plans for you the next 5 years?
I'm just plowing on. And do you know what? I was just thinking, well, how do you kind of summarize this up, Adam? And the point is, I think for both you and I, the overarching thing is, if it doesn't make you happy, don't do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't do it. If you're not taking absolute joy and fulfillment out of what you do, then don't bother.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like you say, just be fulfilled in my life.
Yeah,
I think that's important. I think I found what I'm doing now fills me.
Yeah,
and say, I can't remember. I think my mum was saying the other day when we were having tea or something that one of her friend's daughters has done like 7 jobs in 5 years or something.
Yeah,
all in the kind of the same industry, but she's changed to a different industry.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her, like, to be fair, look at me. Like, I went to uni to hospitality, worked in hotels and stuff, then did events. And now I'm doing marketing. I say 3 different industries in the space of 5 years. Like you can do whatever you want to do. There's nothing like
that's
holding you back.
It's not unusual in your generation. Not at all.
Like that's what just made me happy.
The days of Antony Penny doing 30 odd years with one company were long gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Long gone.
So it's like I didn't go into the hotels because that wasn't going to make me happy. So I went to do the events. Then when the events wasn't making me happy, did the marketing. But I do see a future in the marketing though. And I'm not too precious about like, if it's going to be videos, if it's going to be TikTok, if it's going to be paid advertising, it's going to be emails, just like marketing or performance driven stuff. Like I'm happy to go with like the AI stuff or whatever I think is best and be adaptive because I don't want to be set in my ways. I see some people who are like so set in their ways of like, this is how it's done, how it's always been done. I'm always going to do it like this. I'm like, you're just going to get left behind by someone like me, but 5 years younger, you know what I mean? He's just like fresh out of uni, fresh out of school that knows way more. And I'm already thinking like, fuck, I'm 28 now. People are going to be coming out of uni, going to know a lot more than me. Yeah. So I need to keep up and try and keep on developing and adapting and that kind of thing really. But yeah, I suppose, 5 years time, we're 30.
Ancient.
Oh, that's scary though. But yeah, so how do you round up? Who would be the perfect person for you to work with at the moment if anyone's thinking they've listened to this podcast and kind of thing, either a consultant client or a coaching client? What?
I think the reality of my situation, Adam, is that it's fairly unlikely that I will get into bed with some of the big boys like Marriott, big hotel companies, big hospitality companies. So therefore, it's small to middle range businesses, I suppose, that I'll target. And I'm pretty well networked. It's about just continuing to try and exploit that network.
Yeah.
And see what kind of comes out of the woodwork. But I am determined to perhaps stop hiding under my bushel a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just dropping the ego, isn't it? And being like, fuck, I need to just message people.
Well, I think it would be a completely different approach if I was at your age.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Different stages, yeah.
My priorities are very, very different now to what they would have been 30 years ago, Adam. And I recognize that. And for me, it's all about fulfillment. It's not about income.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I need to earn as much money as possible to provide my family.
That's fine.
I've got a lot of money to make. I hope I do it, otherwise I'm fucked. But yeah, that's what I mean. Though. Everybody's different, aren't they?
Yeah.
And what's right for you is different to what's right for me at the moment, isn't it?
It's about purpose.
Yeah.
It's about drive. Daniel H. Pink.
I need to listen to that, yeah. So who would you say is ideal for you then at the moment?
At the minute, Adam, I'd like to there's one particular company that I'm really quite eager to do more with. There's a couple, in fact. One's maybe on the simmer.
Yeah.
The other one, I need to put the pan on the stove. If I'm making analogies, so I don't want to name them. That would be unfair of me. But
what about coaching people?
But what I do know, what I do know, Adam, is that I can add value to both their operations.
Yeah,
it's about getting the influencers within those companies to recognise that.
Yeah, that's the hardest bit, though, isn't it? Because people are always busy, aren't they? And they put it to the bottom of the pile because they're so focused on their own job day to day.
What my priority is never their priority, and I think you just need to accept that as well.
Yeah, it's hard to accept that sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah. So where can people find you, follow you, get in contact, get in touch, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm still available on awpconsultancy.co.uk. You can find me on social, very readily available on LinkedIn. So yeah, love to speak to you.
Nice. Right, everybody who's watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment your favourite part, any questions for Anthony in the comment section below. Listen on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review. And we'll see you next time. Bye.